It's now on the project execution part. So everything is for project execution. Like I've said before, everything is for project execution. The information we capture is for project execution. Information we organized is for project execution. We distill so that it's easier to execute into the project. So planning, organizing, everything is for execution. So now let's focus. This is unit number 3. Let's focus on a extremely important 3 terms. Okay. Term number 1, work in progress. WIP is work in progress. Capacity is, whatever is your capacity. So your work in progress is amount of work you are right now doing. Capacity is how much work you can do. So let's say we have 3 people, 1, 2, 3, 4. The thing is, different people have different capacity. So a friend of mine is very hardworking and her capacity is also big. So a lot of work gets assigned to her. Okay. Just because she can do a lot of work doesn't mean I can do a lot of work. Everyone has a different capacity. We have to understand that. Okay. And then the final thing is speed. Speed at which we can finish the work. There is another word for it. We can call it as a throughput. How much work I finish, let's say per month. Speed is in how much time do I finish a project. Throughput is how many projects do I finish per month. Okay, so these are 3 terms. Now let me explain them even better now. So I don't know if you have done torrenting. This was before Netflix and everything, but let's take a screenshot of this torrenting, or let's say you're downloading multiple files at the same time. Okay, here, if let's say I'm downloading 5 files here and the total internet connection speed is 2 Mbps. Okay, the internet connection speed is 2 Mbps and I'm downloading 5 files at the same time. Okay, one file is using this 1 Mbps and something like this. So whatever time they will take them to download. Okay, but this is 5. The work in progress is 5. In a hypothetical scenario, if I'm downloading 50 torrent files at the same time, what will happen? The entire system will slow down. Correct? You see, the capacity is limited, but work in progress is more. So when work in progress is more than capacity, the entire system slows down. Okay, we become overwhelmed, we become stressed, and because we become stressed and overwhelmed, our focus quality reduces. We become, less, less attentive and less efficient. We do more procrastination, whereas in reality we have more work. But when work in progress is more than capacity, this is the most common thing. And a few people have messaged me individually. In our all of our jobs, our assigned work is always better than in more than our capacity. This is true for almost everyone. And if you are doing some work outside the assigned work, then you are increasing your work in progress even more than capacity, and your thing slows down. So simply increasing your capacity, work in progress, is actually very bad for your system and mental health. Okay, so what's the solution? We want to work on the execution, which is the third pillar of project. So what is the solution? Solution is actually, first, reduce work in progress. Okay, this is hard to do. For that, you need to say no to work. So you can either reduce work in progress or you can increase capacity. So how can you increase capacity? if you are fit, if you are having good food, good diet, if you are having enough sleep, then your capacity increases. Okay. So how to get more work done better, get work done better? Either reduce your work in progress or increase your capacity, or you can do these two things. So we will focus more on this. Okay. So no need to reduce work in progress, no need to increase capacity. We will focus on these two. Okay, so let me talk about first part. Don't lose progress. Okay, let me tell you what is the attention span of ours nowadays. We get lots of notification, pings, emails, whatever. We have lots of notification, and it was found out that approximately in 2 to 3 minutes we get some interruption or another. Okay, let's say it's not 2 to 3 minutes. Let's say it's 10 minutes. Let's say we get interrupted once in 10 minutes. Okay, so in 10 minutes, you are working on something, you're trying to finish your work assigned to you. So what happens? You are sitting, this is 0, and let's say this is 10 minutes. Okay, let's say you're starting, you're trying to finish the work. Okay, work is getting done partially, and the work is actually quite big. Okay, this is here work gets finished. Okay. Okay, so you're starting, your work is closed, let's say it's done 1/4, 1/5, but suddenly you get interrupted. You get ping from manager or a colleague or a phone call or a notification, or your mom comes, she asks you for your food, something, whatever, and at that instance you lose your entire progress. Okay, then you whatever do this thing, something, and then you start working again. So you do this again 10 minutes and you are interrupted again, and you lose the entire work. Then you do this, you lose the entire work. So some time, whenever you will get, let's say, uninterrupted 30 minutes, that's when. So let's say the work requires 30 minutes. Okay. And that work will get finished when you get 30 uninterrupted minutes. So this is what happens for everybody. We are constantly working, but because of interruptions, we are losing the work we have done. Okay, there is this huge work. We spend a lot of time, but we lose a lot of work because the way our this thing is actually divided. So how do we not lose the work? The answer is this thing called as save points. Okay, everyone here would have played video games. In video game, there is, let's say you're playing and you die. Okay, you start at the beginning. In the video game, if you die, you start at the beginning. Just like here. If you get interrupted, you lose the entire work, entire progress, and you start from the beginning. But in video game, there is something called as checkpoint or save points. Okay, so let's say this is starting point A. This is ending point end. So this is end, and let's say this is start. Okay, if there is no save point in between, you die anywhere, you start from scratch. But let's say there is save point here, there is save point here, and there is save point here. So once you reach this point, and let's say you die somewhere here in between, you restart from this point. If you die somewhere here, you restart from this point. You see, because with help of save points, you are saving your progress. Similarly, if you divide your big work into extremely small chunks, okay, so for example, it could be like this: a huge work you are doing, it needs for you to do some research, take some notes on each of those, do some brainstorming on your own with colleagues, find out examples, create an outline, create a prototype draft, blah blah blah. Let's say you have this huge work. Okay, if you divide it into small things called as intermediate packets, then you stop losing your progress. Okay, so you see, when you do intermediate packet, I actually have 5 to 10 minutes small work I do. Okay, so for example, if I'm working on something, what I do is I'm like, oh, I need to shortlist all the stuff related to something. So you see, I divide my work into extremely small chunks, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, and I actually at the end of that work save that work. So this intermediate packet, even if I'm interrupted here, I actually have 1/3 of the work done. At this, even if I'm intermediate, 1/3 of the work is done. At this, even if I'm interrupted, 1/3 of the work is done. So the final work is equal to intermediate packet number 1 plus intermediate packet number 2 plus intermediate packet number 3. Okay, without dividing the work into small chunks, I would have needed to restart from zero every time. Restart from zero every time. But if you are saving your this thing via intermediate packet, you are actually doing an extremely big thing for your productivity. So the most important part for your working is this thing called as intermediate packet. Okay, divide your work into smallest of chunks, no more than 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, and save the work into that intermediate packet. So for example, let me show you an example of an intermediate packet I did. So I think I had one in career development. Okay, so I can show you career and I can show you a one tab. I think it was not in career. I think it was in knowledge para. I had the example in here. Shortlisting. Yes, exactly. Yes. So I was creating a session on career development. Okay. So I kind of like worked for around 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, I shortlisted these 68 tabs. So I use this extension called as one tab to shortlist. So I had around what 60 more than 100, 200 stuff tabs open. Out of that, I only shortlisted the this thing, which were kind of like the one useful to this thing. So this distraction list is actually not relevant. So let me just move it here. But yes, so at the end of 68 minutes, 20 minutes, I had this thing. So you see, this thing was my intermediate packet. Now the next work is shortlisting stuff out of this. Okay, so let me start with opening all of these links one by one. So these are the kind of like 68 links. So the next intermediate packet is me shortlisting the best articles out of these 68 articles. So okay, I'm just opening. So I'll quickly do this in front of you guys. So what do you want to do with your life? Passion evolves, interest, income path, cut out distractions, this thing. Okay, this is not that useful for career. So I have closed it. So in less than 20 seconds, I have closed this. So fantasizing about retirement, how to build a career you don't want to quit, real opportunities, value, rare skills, common skills. What should you do instead of running away? Actual jobs. Okay, this seems useful. So I have kept it. Next 10, 20 seconds, I have kept this thing. Which skills should you own? So boss, something complain about career, do career. Okay, this I don't think is that useful. So I've closed it. So this thing I've closed. Why do people get stuck in this thing? Okay, this seems a quite useful thing. So I'm gonna save it. Feeling stuck at work. Here is how to keep moving forward. Default time spent working hard. Okay, this seems useful. Which skill should you master? Counter example. This does not seem useful. Think strategically about career development, clear on next step, invest in deep work, build reputation. Okay, this is very vague, not that useful. So understand what's evaluated, Brandford, codify learning, expert, seek counsel, mentoring, skill set. This does not seem useful. 20 ways you can advance your career, organize your life, map your goals. Okay, this is extremely stupid article. So I'm closing this. Career websites, not that useful. So you see, I will in the next 5 to 10 minutes, in next 5 minutes, I will actually go through these links at an extremely high speed. Because what is my aim? My aim is shortlisting. And because I have decided my aim to be so small, out of the 10 20 links, I am going to shortlist. So because my aim is so small, that is what is intermediate packet. Okay, intermediate packet is all about dividing the work so that you can make progress even if you need to switch to something else. Okay, this thing. Okay, this is also not useful. Career capital trumps this thing. Okay, this also does not seem useful. Lesson one, running in the same spot, moving forwards. Okay, this is also not useful. Three things not useful. What is your growth ratio? This is also not useful. Okay, this is also not useful. So I went through right in front of you, went through these things, and this is my shortlisted thing. So I'll click on one tab. So this one tab extension, it converts all the open tabs into just one place. So let me click on share page. So I have shortlisted around 10-20 tabs into next tabs. Okay, so this is, and output is 3 tabs. So short listing is a intermediate packet. Googling was a intermediate packet. So I Googled and I saved all the output. Then I shortlisted, then I saved the output. Then highlight each article one by one. So you see, then another IP will be read article 1. Another intermediate packet will be read article 2. Another intermediate packet will be read article 3. So you see, I don't need all of the work in one shot. I can divide and conquer. This is why, okay, this is why the this thing was actually extremely important. So the in the unit number 1, I had said that the most important concept is actually this: divide into smallest of subcomponents. This is why. So for each of the smallest of subcomponent, you create a intermediate packet and you work in that intermediate packet so that you do not lose the progress. So you see, going back to this point, everyone is actually stuck in this thing. We generally are assigned more work than our capacity. And so how do I overcome that? Don't lose the progress you do. Keep taking baby steps and keep saving your progress constantly. This is what this save point is all about. Divide the work into smallest of subcomponent and keep saving progress. It's like in a Word document when we are constantly doing Control S so that we don't lose the progress. Okay, so this is the intermediate packet concept, which is quite important for today. So are there any questions on this? Is this clear? If you have any questions, you can raise your hands, or you can raise your hand, and then which is a button on this Microsoft Teams, and they can ask you to unmute yourself and ask. Are there any questions on this? Do you think this is useful? Do you think dividing your work into smallest of subcomponents will allow you to make consistent progress without losing it? Any questions on this? Any doubts, questions?
Ajinkya, I have one question, but it is
Yes.
not really related to this. So, Digo and this one tab, these softwares do the same thing. They
These
have the
are,
same purpose.
Digo is for highlighting. Okay. And one tab as an extension is for shortlisting. So you see all of these links here. I have shortlisted these links to be useful. So each of these things which I have here, okay, in my one tab is my short listing. So everything here is an intermediate packet. Now, let's say I'm going into this. So let's say this is 5 stages of acquiring expertise. Okay, let's say I open this link. Stage number 5 is novice to this thing, blah, blah, blah. So 5 stages. Stage number 1 is novice. Advanced beginner is stage number 2. You see, for highlighting, now I'm using Digo extension. One tab is for shortlisting. Digo is for highlighting. Okay. And let's say I read this entire blog and I highlight all the important stuff. Then this intermediate packet is done. So I divide my work into, oh, read this one block. Okay, if I can't read, I'll click on one tab and I'll shortlist it here. I'll make it, read after some time. But I have actually read it. This thing is done. So my work is done. In my Digo, all the work highlights are already there. So I can take your example now. So when I had asked for demo, you had given your demo. So your demo was research paper on resilient supply chain, this thing. So you see, divide and conquer, which I said, a demo of this thing. These were all the brainstorming we did. This is a intermediate packet. You just sit once and now you are done with the plan. Then you can decide, you know what, I wanna do this part, vegetables. So this vegetables was another intermediate packet. And in that, shortlisting the best material was another intermediate packet. Okay, you see, this was another intermediate packet. And in this, you going into each article and understanding and reading and highlighting. So each article, when highlighted, will become another intermediate packet. You see, intermediate packet is nothing but dividing a big work into small steps. If here, let's say something is a big paper, for example, let's say there is this paper, it is like 40 pages, then you can divide that into one page at a time. Okay, so this is a 5-page paper. So instead of a page, the better division of the work is reading introduction. So reading introduction and its summary, its highlighting would be a intermediate packet. This thing would be an intermediate packet. So keep dividing work into smallest of subcomponents and save the progress of each component. And that's how you never lose the work you are doing. So I hope this thing answers your question as well as the intermediate packet.
Yeah, yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Anyone else, guys? This intermediate packet is a quite important concept. Can you relate this to your work? Ranjit, when we were talking, I think this had come up. We do a lot of work, but we lose the work. So if we divide the work into small subcomponents, we keep saving our progress. This was the answer I wanted to give you, and this was part of Unit 3.
Right. Agree. Yeah, it is going to help me
So
to organize now.
any
Mm-hmm.
work you divide into small subcomponent. So you can take whatever stuff you are working on right now and practice it into intermediate packet. Over time, you will develop the skill of saving your work constantly via this concept of intermediate packet.
Yeah, it is going to help me. Most of the time, I have faced this issue that
So
starting
this
from
capacity
the
and work in progress. I think this is also true for you, right? Your work, which is
right,
assigned to you, is more than your capacity, and that's why everything is slowed down. So when
right,
you execute efficiently, your work will get finished in assigned time. So yeah,
Right. Agree.
awesome. Guys, any questions, any doubts? This is a quite advanced concept. It's a different way of looking at things. Any questions? Anyone else? Sandeep, you have any questions? Yash?
I'm good. It's pretty
Okay,
clear and it's very
okay, awesome.
important.
Yes, Ajinkya, it's good.
Yes. Any questions, Yash?
No question.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this thing is clear now. Now let's move to a next part, which you will love. Okay, so let me talk about something which is like a really amazing thing. It's called as a flow state. Okay, this we will take as a last topic for the day. So flow state is this guy. This guy's name is Alex Honnold. He is climbing without rope on a mountain which is 1 kilometer in height. Okay, he is almost half a kilometer in height here. So it's half a kilometer in height. If he falls down, it will take him minutes to reach at hit the ground. If he falls down, it's insane, and he's climbing without a rope. Okay, so this is if he loses focus even for a second, he will die. Or if you take a game like table tennis, if you have played table tennis, the table of the tennis is extremely small. The balls does to and fro extremely quick. You don't even have any time to do something. If you get distracted, you lose a point. So you see, these things are called as flow states. You all would have experienced flow state when you have an urgent deadline, when something is really important. This flow state is a state of ultra focus. Okay, flow state is a state of ultra focus where you actually get more work done in extremely small amount of time. Have you experienced this flow states? Anyone here? Have you experienced the flow states?
Yes, while playing table tennis.
Yes, not just table tennis, even in studying. If there is any important deadline, this happens. Poonam, yes?
Yes.
And can you recall when you have experienced this?
When we are mostly close to a release date and we have something to wrap up in a limited time at
Exactly. When the release date is close, the amount of work we get done in that time is way more than we amount of work we get done generally, right?
right.
It's because it's flow state. So flow state is an extremely powerful thing. Bhavna, you were saying something?
Yeah, so I also find that this happens only when there is a deadline. So before
Exactly.
that, things go, very slowly. And when there is a deadline, so like within 2 hours, you can do so much work that, you never realize that you can do even in 2, 3 days.
Exactly. So this flow state, if we can somehow figure out, this can be an amazing addition for our productivity. And let me tell you how we can do this using this concept of intermediate packet. Okay. So flow state, this is my research. So flow state actually increases your brain processing from 2 times to 5 times. Okay, so when you are into flow state, when you are at the beginning of the flow state, the only thing which happens is you are focused, no distraction. So your brain is working normal speed. The only thing is it is not getting distracted in different stuff. And just by that alone, we get 2 to 3 times more work done when we are simply not distracted. Okay. And there is another state of flow, which is deep flow. In that thing, you get at least 5 to 6 times, at least 5 to 6 times work done. In that stage, your brain is actually working at much higher performance level. You don't even know how you are working that much. Your brain is ultra powerful in that instance. Okay, so flow is this. And let us now try to understand how to get flow into our day-to-day work. Okay, so to get flow, these are the three things. Clear aim. Okay, in table tennis, it's a small and clear aim. Okay, immediate feedback, how it's going. When you can actually see your work, when you can see your progress. Okay, this thing would have happened. When we get into the zone, when we are excited about work, and when we can see the things working, we get more excited. And when we get more excited, more work gets done. We get even more excited and we get even more focused. So you see, focus and progress is quite interlinked. So when you see more progress, you get excited, you become more focused. And because you become more focused, you make more progress, which feeds back into more focus. So have a clear aim, immediate feedback, and reminder is about, no distractions. So if you can somehow meet all these three things, you can get into flow state. Okay, you can get 2 to 5 times faster. You can get 2 to 5 times more work done. And let me tell you my story. Okay, flow is around 2 to 5x times. I have been into the flow state of 5x 2 times in my life, 2 or 3 times. This state is so rare that I have been into this 5x flow state only 3 times. First time I remember, if after it I had seen a movie, I had gotten extremely motivated for 3 to 4 hours. I was into this ultra deep zone and I got insane amount of work done. In those 3 to 4 hours, I got more work done than I would have in 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, it was this insane flow state. And it's like 2 to 3 times I've been into. Rest I actually have forgotten, but I remember the first because I was like, oh, what is this? What is happening right now? This 2x before this productivity system, even this 2x flow state was rare. But now I actually can get into this flow state maybe one time in a day or two. So in a week, I get into this beginning stage of flow at least 2 to 3 times a week. Before it was very rare. Now it is very common. So let me teach you how to get into flow state. So these are the three components to get into flow. First, divide and conquer. Whatever work you are doing, divide it into smallest of subcomponent, and then you start with, you know what, I am going to do this. So this is what it means, clear aim. Okay, then note for saving the intermediate output. Okay, this is our aim, right? Intermediate output is a note to save work in. Okay, so this is step number 1, this is step number 2, and then this is step number 3. So there is an app called as pomodorotracker.com. Okay, Pomodoro tracker is, I actually use this app for tracking my productivity. So if you check here in, it's, let's say, in this year, this is how I have worked. Okay, this year is actually too much. maybe let's say last month, before I got married, I think I tracked it more. Yes. So on 2nd of June, I was deep focus in this thing. In 2nd of this thing, this ultra deep focus. So I still am figuring out how to do this frequently, but this Pomodoro tracker allows you to kind of like track the work. Okay. So this is the website for it. Pomodoro tracker is pomodorotracker.com. Let me just copy this thing. Let me just paste it into the chat. How to get into flow? Use Pomodoro. But in Pomodoro, the thing here is 25 minutes. The recommendation is 25 minutes work and then 5 minutes break. Then 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break. 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break. And actually, problem is if we get interrupted, we lose progress, right? So I have actually customized the Pomodoro. So what I do is my Pomodoro is only 10 minutes. Okay, my Pomodoro is only 10 minutes. And I start with, okay, I am going to do something in this 10 minutes. Okay, so I'll click on start. So the Pomodoro starts. Then there is another thing I do. So there is this button. If you install this Pomodoro tracker on your Windows or Mac machine, there is something called as toggle mini timer here. Okay, so if you do this mini timer, this thing becomes this small. And there is another thing, keep eyes on. So I enable this keep eyes on. So what happens is, even if I click on this, it will not go into background. So I'll keep this on and I will do this thing. So whatever thing I open, this thing will be on. So you see, how do I get into flow more frequently? I do this Pomodoro tracker and this thing is only for 10 minutes. Do not do it for any longer duration than this. This is third point. Second point is whatever work you are doing, keep that work here. So for example, let me just show you the podcast thingy. So right now in front of you guys, I'll get some work done on podcast. So let's say I want to do my speaker introduction. So I have done divide and conquer. And now I have decided I am going to do speaker introduction into my podcast. So this is my aim. Smallest of subcomponents. So this thing is done. My Pomodoro is done. And where am I going to save this? I am going to save this into my appropriate thing. So this is my introduction intermediary packet. This I will open. So this is my IP intermediate packet speaker introduction. And you see, because 10 minutes is not that big, I can actually focus for this time easily. So let me right in front of you, just quickly do speaker introduction. So tell about Google trainer, uh, job, tell number of trainings deliver, tell number of students in my trainings generally. Okay, so this is my speaker introduction, trainer training experience. Okay, so right now in front of you, I have decided for my introduction, I am going to give training experience, Google training, number of trainings delivered, and how many students have I taught. Okay, I am going to give technical experience as well. So tell areas of expertise, which is AI and okay, and my introduction is technical plus training experience and how I can teach you how to become a better trainer because I have done exactly that in past 3 years. Done. So right now in front of you, I have created an intermediate packet for my speaker introduction. Okay, so if I had more time, then I will go into expand this. Then I'll go expand this, and then I'll do this. So my speaker introduction into my podcast, which is gonna take around 1 to 2 minutes. My speaker introduction outline would be done. Okay, so if I work on this for 10 minutes, in 10 minutes, my speaker introduction will be done, and that sub component of my work is done. So you see, flow needs tight focus, and you can simulate tight focus by giving a small this thing, and whatever work you are finishing, keep the output in front of you. Okay, so and for that I have two recommendations. So what I do generally is I divide the screen into two parts. So if you only have output, it's fine, but sometimes it might be the case that you need a Chrome browser to work on something, and then you need something to work on something. So I do like this. Okay, so I will do research from here. So Bhavna, your example was, do the podcasting thing, whatever it may be. I'll do research here in this thing. So I'll do something, I'll do search, incomplete skill, senior engineer. Okay. And then I'm like, this is intermediate packet of IMP skills for career. Okay, so on the right hand side, my timer is ongoing. On the left hand side of the screen, this is the work, and on the right hand side, this is the output. So you see how to run meetings. Okay, this seems important. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it here. How to write a design doc, take feedback. This is also seems to be important. How to mentor. So this doesn't seem to be that important. How to indulge, they don't really understand. Okay, this is important but hard to learn, so fine. How to explain this thing, how to influence instead of writing their own. So this thing, so you see, on the left hand side, you have your research. On the right hand side, you have your output. So if I'm creating slide deck, it's the same process I use. Okay. If I'm creating slide deck, I'll divide this thing here. So this is where my slide deck will be in this way. On the left hand side, this is where my research will be. So to create today's slide deck, I did the exact same thing. So to create today's slide deck, I had created this thing. So on the left hand side, this thing was actually present. And on the right hand side, my slide deck was present. So you see, this was the, on the left hand side, this is how I had divided. So again, using divide and conquer, I did this thing in one shot. This was an intermediate packet. This was another intermediate packet. This was another intermediate packet. This was another intermediate packet, blah, blah, blah. And then I created slides accordingly. Okay, so going back to flow, I think that will be our kind of like, only because we did more review, or most of our time went into the review. But going back to flow, the need components for flow are like this. And when you do it this way, the divide and conquer from our project, first unit number 1, intermediate packet from our unit number 3, and this software, which is this Pomodoro tracker, with help of that, now you actually can have a extremely amazing way to work. Okay, and when this thing is done, you can actually get a lot of things done. So please keep your aim as extremely simple thing. So for the next 7 days, your assignment is create one intermediate packet per day. Okay, so I have explained the concept of intermediate packet. If you can do more intermediate packets, great. But your assignment is complete at least one intermediate packet per day. And that intermediate packet could be, saved into your Evernote or wherever you want to save. But complete one intermediate packet, or however intermediate packets you can complete, And if you go into the assignments and intermediate this thing, so at the beginning of next week, I would like to see you guys having written what was the intermediate packets you have actually worked on in these next 7 days. So this is the key concept: intermediate packet and how you can connect that to flow. You do not reset your progress because in intermediate packet, this thing gets saved. So going back here, with help of intermediate packet, you actually can get more work done without changing much. It's just a small change in how you work, and it will be transformational to what you can get done in your this thing, in your day-to-day life. Okay, so this is what I had content for this today. There is another section related to information which I had in the organization and capture, but this part I'll do tomorrow, rather next week. But this is the today's part. Focus on intermediate packet or intermediate output, and how it can help you in execution. Works? Any questions here? This is quite advanced concept, so please ask questions. Yes, Baba.
Okay, I'm just trying to confirm if I have got it right.
Mm.
So, with the Pomodoro tracker,
Mhm.
you need to set 10 minutes timer. You have suggested that we should not set it more than 10 minutes. And after
Yes,
10 minutes,
because
we
our
should
focus has reduced now. Yes.
So after 10 minutes, the aim should be to create an IP and then take a break for some time and then start again. Is it like this?
Not really. So now let me come. So it's good that you asked. So we will never get tired in 10 minutes. The reason we set time as 10 minutes is we won't get tired, we will get distracted. So if we create the timer here more than 10 minutes, what is going to happen is after 5 6 minutes you will open Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or something or on Google, and that thing will take a lot of time. So start a timer for 10 minutes. Okay, do it like this so that you are constantly reminded of the remaining time, and then you have the intermediate packet which you are working on. Okay, and how I work is I generally keep working on this thing. After 10 minutes, if I'm in mood, I will immediately start another Pomodoro. If I'm not in mood, if I need break, then I'll take break. So you can keep working 10 minutes back to back as long as you want until you need break. So the way Pomodoro works is like, 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break. But that's not how we are going to do. We are going to actually make Pomodoro length as 10 minutes, and we will do Pomodoros as much as we can and then take break for this thing. But in each Pomodoro, we want one IP. So that IP could be separate, or you can have the entire IP in one file. So I wrote this, my speaker introduction, right? So you see, I could in one Pomodoro expand on this, another Pomodoro expand on this, and in another Pomodoro finish this entire thing. And I think in 3 to 4 Pomodoros, my 1 to 2 minutes or 5 minutes introduction will be done. I won't take any break in this because it's not needed. Make sense?
Yeah, right. So after every Pomodoro, there should be one IP.
Exactly. So when you do it like this, then you will find that you become way more productive, because until the way we actually work is only only if everything is done, we have the output. But instead of that, we have IP means intermediate packet, or it is intermediate output. So I wanted to use it as intermediate output, but its shortcut would have been IO, and IO means something else, input output. So that's why instead of intermediate output, I'm using intermediate packet. So when you start working in intermediate packets, at the end of, let's say, 2 3 Pomodoros, you'll have a lot of work done, and then that will make your mood better, and then you will feel like working more, you will feel like finishing stuff. So going back to this thing, when you have deadline, you have a external deadline. But when you have the work in front of you, when you see, oh, if I just do this, my entire work is done, that also acts as a deadline. So this is why you do divide and conquer. And then you can say, oh, today these are the 6 things. If I create 6 intermediate packets for this, that will also increase the probability of you getting into flow and getting the work done.
Yeah, I think this is the Pomodoro thing that you said is really going to be very helpful, because I think this may help in, saving you from digressing to, many a times you are, say,
But
trying to
don't
search
use
something.
Pomodoro in its native format. The native format is 25 minutes, and
Huh.
25 minutes is too long. So if
Mhm.
you go into the settings, the general thing is 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break. 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break. But nowadays, it's very hard to focus for 25 minutes. So use Pomodoro, but 10 minutes. So you see, I do it like this. So 10 minutes and I don't take any break because you never need break after 10 minutes of work. But the reason we make 10 minutes Pomodoro is at the end of 10 minutes, we want one intermediate output. Okay, so at the end of 10 minutes, we want one intermediate output. So after however Pomodoros we make, we have its output, which is with us. And then accordingly, we can decide break depending on how how much we are in mood and blah blah. So yes.
Yeah, one point I have. So this can also save uh, oneself from digressing to, opening up
Yes,
tabs like LinkedIn, Facebook, and then
exactly.
many times it happens that uh, you spend so much time on that very less time is left with you for other works. So I think,
Exactly. That's why two things are needed. So when you divide the work into small component and you divide your screen into two parts. So this is how I work. On the left hand side is the stuff I need to do. On the right hand side is the output. So intermediate packet I do like this. So if my intermediate packet is small, I will do the screen division like this. Okay, so Chrome browser or my paper which I need to read or some document I need to research, whatever, that thing will be on the left hand side. It will take majority of side. On the right hand side will be IP. And here, this thing, which is Pomodoro tracker, this thing is always on the top. Okay, so this is acts like as a reminder to kind of like keep working. When you have this output on the right hand side, it also acts as a reminder to focus. So with help of these two reminders, the distractions like LinkedIn and all, they actually automatically reduce. So all of these components are needed. Any questions, guys? Any clarity? It's a pretty advanced thing. And over time, when you start doing it like this, you'll find you will get a lot of work done. I use this quite a bit. I actually forget but I have actually learned to do this regularly. In a day, at least 1 to 2 intermediate packets I complete. And this 2 to 3 hours of focused work, which I do, in that I get more work than other people who work for 9 hours. So it's like divide, conquer, intermediate packet, and you will find that in less amount of time, you'll get the same work done. So that's the kind of like key point for these sessions. So any questions? Any questions on whatever we have seen until now? Sorry, we overshot, but because of the review, we kind of like accidentally overshot, but it's fine. Any questions? Any clarifications? Anything you want to say? Let me stop recording. I think should we start recording or you want to ask some questions?
Ajinkya, so at the time, what all softwares do you use? So Divo is on, Evernote is on,
Yes.
Pomodoro is on.
Yes.
These three in one tab is on. Anything
So
else?
the one tab and this thing. So the way one tab is a Chrome extension, and so is Digo. So let's say I'm doing some research, and for that research, okay, right now in front of you, I'll go to product hunter. So let's say
So
I go to,
I have one point related to one tab, because I generally face this problem in my case. So what happens, like I've opened a window and then I search on a topic. So there are say 10 research papers which I found useful.
correct,
The links are there, but I'm not reading it as of now. I have to read it later. Then what I
correct,
do, I copy the links in Note, and then later on I open it. So it
correct,
is a very time-taking process.
correct. So instead of that one tab use, so it's like if you have list of all the tabs you have, you simply click on this one tab extension here. Okay, it compresses all the things into one place and they become this one place here. So I will do this thing as product hunt research. So in one tab, you can name each tab. So you see here like this. So I was working on this thing. So for example, you and your mind garden and blah, blah, blah. So it's like building a cohort. So I was working on this thing. These were the links I shortlisted, and this is that thing. So building a cohort, and for that, these are the useful things. So you see, this is how you can use one tab. Shortlist, then name them, and then next time you want to work, you simply click and you click on, okay, I want to start reading with this thing. And then next time for that next Pomodoro, you only have that link open. You read that, you highlight that, and you save its highlight into Evernote. So my Evernote is always open. Rest of the tools are this Pomodoro tracker. It is also always open. And the extension, which is one tab and Digo, they're all part of my Chrome browser. So I don't have to do anything explicitly. And there is one more tool which I use is this tool called as Aris. So let me just show you what this Aris tool does. So whenever you have lots of tabs open, it becomes really difficult to find tabs from it. So this is the Aris extension for it. So if you open Aris, this whole thing opens. You can search the tab and you can directly go to it. So this is Aris Tab Manager. So Aris Tab Manager, one tab, and Digo. These are the extensions I use extremely a lot, and along with Evernote and Pomodoro Tracker. So I'll give list of all of the softwares at the end.
And some of these extensions are not available for Safari. So that is why you
Safari, that's why Safari is not that commonly used by many tech people. So either use Chrome or use Edge browser. These two browsers or Firefox. Safari doesn't really have this. The next version of Safari, which is going to come in iOS 15, it can install the other extension on Chrome, but you'll have to wait 6-7 months for it. It's better to use Chrome or Edge or Firefox.
Okay.
My recommendation would be use Edge.
Okay.
So Edge browser, guys, let me just show you one example. So Edge browser has this thing called as collections. So let's say you are reading an article. So for example, let's say I open a library. Let's say you are doing some research here. Let's say, let me close here. Okay, 5 stages of acquiring expertise. So let's say I'm reading this article and I want to do research on, let's say, skill development. You can either use Digo highlight or here you can do, it's like novice acquire how to this thing. This is useful. I'll just do right click, do this thing and add to collection and skill development. Let's say know that which is bound by this thing. So right click, add to collection, skill development. Let's say this thing is useful, right click, add to this thing, add to collection, skill development. So you see, over a time, this is where my intermediate packet can be. So either you can use Digo or you can use this thing, which is collections feature. It is an amazing feature by Microsoft.
Yeah, this is really nice.
So yes. Any questions? Any questions, guys? Sorry for overshooting, but I feel like these concepts are important. Any questions? Abhishek, Poonam, Ranjit, Sandeep, Yash. Bhavana isn't shy, so
Yeah,
she's
I
up.
think I was just checking this one tab, Ajinkya. But
Yes.
when we click on that link, it's actually removing from the list. Is there any setting to
Yes. So
keep the
if you are
list?
using this thing, okay, so if you go into options, you will find there are advanced options in the one tap thingy. Okay. So you see, after you click on the link, it will be removed from the list. That's the default behavior. If you don't want that to happen, you need to press command or control. So right now I have pressed command or control. So this thing has opened a new tab and the link is not removed from here. Or you can go into more and you can lock the tab. So if you lock something, even by clicking, that thing will not be removed. So if there is something you need permanently, you can lock the tab.
Okay.
So this lock tabbing and pressing control slash command, this thing will allow you to, not remove this thing from the list. Make sense? Any other questions, guys, on softwares, whatever? Any questions? Any questions? Don't be shy, ask. Okay, so if no questions, let me stop the recording. I'll still stay back. So if you want to ask some questions,